Welcome to the Honest Designers Show, your transparent look into life as a modern designer. My name's Tom Ross, and I'm the founder at designcuts.com. And this week, I'm joined by my fellow Brit and hand lettering expert, Ian Barnard, American retro design expert, Dustin Lee, and the incredibly talented South African illustrator, Lisa Glanz. We're back and at it again for 2019. I'm super excited to be back here with the gang. I've missed you guys. I've missed you. Missed you dearly. It's been far too long since we did this. So this week we are digging into some listener questions. It's been quite a while since we did this, but we have some fantastic questions lined up from listeners of the show. So without further ado, let's get into it. Hey guys.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi, Tom.
Hey there, buddy.
Hi. It's been a few weeks. We've had some time off for Christmas and that kind of thing. I think we might have forgotten how to podcast. How are you guys feeling? Are you eager? Are you confident? Are you reticent?
I don't know about the confident, but definitely eager.
Okay. Eager and willing. I'll take that.
Eager and willing.
How about you, Dustin?
Eager and willing.
Okay. Good. Ian, are you eager and willing or willing and eager?
I think willing and eager.
Okay, good. Look at this.
Sounds like a TV show with two British dudes. It's Willing and Eager show. There we got funny things happening to us.
So we have some listener questions today. And Ian, you got a bunch. I got a bunch. We're going to disseminate them out to the interwebs and hopefully help the people that ask them and a bunch of people listening at home. I'm going to jump in, and if you want to have one up the sleeve lined up, Ian, that would be amazing.
Okay, I'll just get it up my sleeve now.
Okay, lovely stuff. My beautiful assistant here. Who are we going to start with? This is the question. All right, let's look back. So Little Gem Studio on Instagram asked the best decision and or change that we made for our creative business in 2018. Seems very relevant. We're here, start of 2019. We're looking back.
Wow, that's hard.
Yeah.
Oh, I have to give that some thought.
Okay.
Can I look at what my 2019? The problem is there's loads of people posting the 2019 posts.
I know.
Back over
I
10
keep seeing
years.
them. We just did one for Design Cuts, actually. Some of them, I'm like, you look exactly the same. How have you done that? You haven't aged. Some look hilarious. It's like time has been very generous to you. And I include myself in that. It was like a fine wine seemed to be heading in the right direction because, my God, some of those early photos, it's like Gollum out of Lord of the Rings, if you play guitar.
I'm still trying to find some 10-year-old pictures. I think only Facebook is the only platform that has any of my old pictures on it, I think.
Yeah, it's like, 11 years old now? Something like that.
What, Facebook?
Yeah.
I think it's something like that.
Yeah,
So,
nuts. Okay, so looking back, best decisions. I'll kick it off. It might sound cliche, but it's true. I've really been trying to hone in and focus more and actually proactively pay attention to the elements of my creative business that I enjoy the most. And that started to when you do that, your actions then follow, and then that starts to shift things in quite a positive way. So for me, I've been doing a lot more helping folk and a lot more being on calls and just more interaction with people. I think I went for a lot of years in more of a bubble, just working away. Even when I freelanced, I was in a bubble of designing. In business, I was in a bubble of just kind of insular. And now I'm really enjoying just, I guess you could call it networking, but it doesn't feel like that. It's like I've got, you guys know Mark from Blue Tree Design, right?
Yes.
Mark?
No, I don't.
I'm sure I've shared your stuff.
Should I?
He's the designer. He looks very young. Hopefully, he won't mind me saying that. But he's super talented, really, really nice guy. He's coming down to the office here in a couple of days, and we're going out for a little man date going out for some dinner.
Oh,
And
Do you
that
mean
sounds
Blue Deer design?
What did I say? Blue Tree.
Blue Tree.
We work with recruiters called Blue Tree. That's why I've got confused.
Ah.
Sorry, Mark. I mean,
Oh.
I'm looking at a postcard here with a blue deer on from Mark, so I know it's Blue Deer. Apologies.
He does the Creative Waffle podcast, so
He does.
quick shout out to that.
Yeah, shout out to Mark. I've jumped on that with him. He does an awesome job. Super nice guy. But yeah, that's one example of many. I think just getting to know more people the same way we did with this show. We all got to know each other. I think so much good stuff comes from that. And so for me, 2018 was like setting the wheels in motion for getting to know a lot more kindred spirits, like-minded people. And I feel like, I'm not going in like pitching people stuff, just that like making friends and, I want to start going to conferences more. I feel like good stuff's going to come from that.
Yeah. Was that a conscious decision or did it just evolve? Oh, was it conscious?
It was conscious because I started paying attention to almost auditing my day and being like, which parts do I enjoy most and which don't. I am whenever I'd like get off a call with someone, I'd find out I'd just be speed talking really passionately the way we all do on this show, and I'd be full of energy afterwards, and I'd go home to my girlfriend and I just feel pumped up and full of energy and like I had a great day. And for me, I'm like, sure, that kind of means this is the work I should be doing. This is like the work I was put on this earth to do, if that's what fires me up the most.
Yeah, that's cool. I was just thinking, I don't know how I can forget this, why I even had a problem thinking about it, was I hired Julie to help me, and that was changed everything. In terms of, freeing me up. It's taken me a while to figure out how to use it properly, because I was so kind of caught up in the whole control freak thing. But since then, I'm slowly getting there. And the potential, I know, Tom, you're going to be like grinning from ear to ear because you've been telling me to do this for
oh yeah. I'm sure if listeners go back like dozens of episodes, it will be us having this conversation and you being like,
exactly.
I know I should, but I'm not ready, and us trying to talk you into it.
So, it's been, I can see the potential if I really like spend more energy and time on kindering that whole sort of relationship. Is that the right word to use? Whatever, you know what I'm trying to say. And I think that's got potential to really help both of us, both me and Julie. And yeah, I'm quite excited because I think the year ahead, I've got ideas that I want to do, and I think to include her in the whole sort of plan and everything, it really helps. It helps you realize things or get things going much easier because you have somebody that can actually help you. So that was a good decision of mine. Thanks.
Good. Well done. And we've had a few people on the show. We've talked to a few people off the show where we have recommended delegation because you need people to scale. You're going to hit a ceiling with your creative business otherwise. And some people go and do it and some don't. And funny enough, when you fast forward a few months, the ones that didn't are more or less in the same place, which is cool. Yeah. No judgment if that's where they want to be. But the ones that actually went and did it, funny enough, generally start to scale things up.
But just a note on scaling, even if you don't want to scale up, because that actually wasn't the reason why I wanted Julie to help me, because I don't think I've really scaled up. It's just more like I want to have a life.
Yeah. Well, that's scaling leisure time.
Yeah, I suppose. I guess so, yeah. So I think people get scared by this, I don't want to become this company, So it's even if it just means you want to have more time with your kids or your partner or doing something else or ballet lessons or pottery classes or whatever, then, yeah, that's a good thing to do.
I love that. I mean, you just got back from a few weeks vacation. You said there was a little bit of like thinking about the wider strategy of what you're doing, but that's fantastic too, because normally we don't have time in the frenetic day-to-day to think about that even. Could you have done that before without Julie helping out, or would you have been in the trenches? And you know the weirdest thing is, even though obviously I didn't want to bombard Julie over the Christmas period because she's got her own family, but just knowing, it's the weirdest thing, just knowing that you have this other person that can really pick something up for you or help you, or is also checking on emails and just checking the things are ticking over. Just having that extra person, just knowing that fact, even though they may not be doing masses of work, it's the weirdest sensation of like, finally I can relax. It's just bizarre. I think Dustin can probably agree with me there.
because I know he has somebody who helps him. But just having that other person has taken a load off. Like I can't explain it.
Love that.
Yeah.
Dustin, how about you? You're nodding along a lot here. How about you? 2018, big changes.
Yeah, I remember that feeling. Yeah, it's definitely a good feeling. I mean, I'll get emails and I'll be like, that I don't have to do that, and then I just forward it to the person that does it. I'm like, done. And otherwise it would be like a half hour thing down a rabbit hole with somebody. But for me, I'm going to cheat and say two. One is I had one person doing extremely high value, expensive tasks and low value tasks. And how I gauge that is by how much education or time it takes to learn to do a certain thing. Yeah. And I hired someone to work essentially answering emails, doing social media, doing a variety of things like that. And then I hired 2 more people. So I have 3 people focusing on products. So basically I invested deeply into what I think the core of the business is, which is a good quality product, and took everything else off those people's plates so they can purely focus on that. They don't have to check emails. They don't have to deal with customers.
Brilliant.
Dealing with customers is the wrong way to say it. I would say the interactions with customers needed to go to someone else. And that's made it so we have a big backlog of products that are ready to release. The quality is way better. So I feel really good about that. That makes me feel better about my business. It makes me feel proud of what we have coming. The other thing that's gone through my head over and over these past couple of weeks is a quote by John Maxwell. I have pulled up in my notebook here. He said, "You cannot overestimate the unimportance of practically everything." Which I choose to believe is so true.
I completely agree as well.
Say again, you cannot underestimate.
You cannot underestimate or overestimate the unimportance of practically everything.
Yes.
Basically, don't worry so much.
Yeah.
Thank you for clarifying that, Tom. I was struggling to. I was like,
it's like a triple negative.
There were too many overs and unders. Yeah. It's
There's basically so little stuff matters, right?
But to hear you say
few
that,
things matter.
In the early days of this show, you were like Mr. Fret and Worry all the time.
Yeah.
That was part of us doing the mastermind as friends, was trying to calm you and each other down, because we all had a bit of that.
Yeah. Well, I still worry. I mean, it's a journey, but I think I kind of turned my eyes towards the sun setting that direction. I was like, okay, that's the way that I need to go with this.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, perfect example. When we go to conferences, when it was just me and Suzanne working on the business, we would go, no one's manning the ship except for checking the email in the morning. We'd make more money when we were gone. Don't overestimate the unimportance of everything. We thought we were typing away on the computers, doing all this stuff that was making magic happen. And it turns out that we overestimated the importance of everything we were doing.
Yep. That's so true.
It's crazy.
Love that. Yeah. Really
We're all
cool.
living in a matrix.
How about you, Ian?
See, I didn't have a particularly good 2018, or half of it, because it was probably I earned less than I did the year before, which is probably about the trend of you 3. So for me, it was okay, why is that? I get easily distracted. I look back and think, okay, what can I improve this year? So one of the things is focusing on results rather than on, because the thing is, I'm trying to invest in all these other areas like YouTube, which I've only just started making money with, and I've built a new studio as well, and and also I've found the importance. What I've learned is that how much writing is central to what I'm doing, even though it's the thing I struggle with the most. I think it's something that Lauren Home mentioned in the podcast when I wasn't there, which I wish I had now, because I went to an Adobe event.
Yeah,
I went to an Adobe event and they were just rehashing stuff. Sorry, Adobe, you were just rehashing stuff that I'd already seen online at their Adobe Max event. And Dave would just see me just getting more frustrated because they were talking about iPad products, which I don't know when they're coming in, so I just get.
Well, I don't want to make you feel bad, mate, for missing that episode, but best episode ever. Am I right, guys?
It was pretty epic.
No joke, it was actually probably one of my favorite episodes.
Yeah.
Shame,
Sorry,
rub it
Ian.
in.
That's
But
right.
you know what, Ian? Like, don't underestimate the value of a foundation year, because it sounds like that's what you did. You had a foundation building year. I don't want to sound like a cliche, but I mean, you worked on your YouTube channel, which, as we all know, that takes a while to kind of like snowball. I mean, and you did.
You were reaping.
Yeah, from what it sounds like, you do. Like every time we spoke to you, you were doing events and this and that. You were really
The thing is, I do a lot of stuff. Like this is the problem for my business, is the fact that I really enjoy. You know, I got to go to New York. Apple paid me, flew me out there to New York.
Which is
but there was
awesome.
no, you know, they didn't pay me. They obviously did give me, they've given me an iPad for a year to use, one of the new ones, which is, you know, I suppose payment in itself. But like all these different things I go to all seem really exciting, but not normally have a exchange of like I'm earning some money. So I'm doing all these.
That's the funny thing, because I think we'd all agree that like money does not equate to good decisions. Plenty of bad decisions are made by myself and other people and drug dealers and all sorts of people that make money that are horrible decisions to make. There was a quote I heard in a movie that said, if you want to see what God thinks of money, see who he gives it to.
Yeah.
So for me, in this, you know, and because something that, you know, 2018 really like cemented the fact how important collaborations were, and that like you worry that your best ideas are all behind you, and then, you know, me and Stefan brought out Grid Builder, and that wiped out every single other one of my products in terms of how popular it was. And so, you know, because like I had, you know, I've known, the problem is when you know success, like, you know, all of us in terms of who we're selling have been on top of one of the platforms where we sell things. So we've seen what it's like to have a best-selling product, and then everything else compares to that without you trying to. You're just like, well, it's just not as good as that one. You know, the sort of glory.
They
days
can't
of,
all be hits. I mean, look at like the Beatles, even, you know, not every song's a hit. And also not every release can be better than the previous one, because then it would keep going in a linear path forever. It's like, I don't know, I've got into golf in my spare time. If every time I played I was better than the last time, I would be like Tiger Woods, and then I'd be perfect in a few years. But life doesn't work like that. It goes up and down and up and down. And like I always say, you got to zoom out and look at the macro picture. So, you know, if you look at the last decade, it's heading in a positive direction. In 5 years' time, when you look back at, you know, the next 5 years, hopefully it will be in a positive direction. And who cares if you have a bad month or a bad 6 months, or not even bad, but just not like going like a rocket, because that just isn't sustainable all the time.
And maybe I'm too close. Maybe I don't like know your life as well as I think I do. Well, actually, I'm quite positive I don't know your life as well as I think I do. But there's lots of times that I think in my head, here's a man who has his priorities straight. I just like see you like doing things that like you enjoy doing. I see you making choices that show that you.
Yeah, you.
I'm really enjoying what I'm doing, and I think, you know, and it's like I stress out about something because I'm not. I suppose, you know, the thing I stress about is because, like, I don't. My like every month it fluctuates so massively. Because I like, you know, I might spend some time on my shop, or I might spend some time like, you know, I had a contract to do 4 videos for YouTube because they were sponsored, and when you've been doing something since 2012 for free, and then someone says, here's a little bit of money for each of those videos, it's amazing. Like my ideas went, I like lost Like, I don't know what to do. I need to do 4 videos and I don't know what to do. And it's weird because it takes an added pressure on it when someone else is involved rather than you like, I just do whatever I want to. And so that's a really strange place to be in. And so I'm like, I haven't like,
you're compelling me here. Like you know what I do is like my hobby where I basically help creative entrepreneurs for free because I enjoy it. If you will allow me, I know this is your thing, obviously. Don't want to detract from that. Let me devote like, I don't know, 5 to 10 hours with you over the course of the next month or so and like hands-on work with you on a call and be like, now let's do this, now let's do this. Like I can see the steps to help take it to that next level. So
what are we talking? What specifically are we talking about?
Specific, like your kind of a bit of your marketing around what you're doing. But I would really love to help, like just you to scale things up because I feel like you're so good at brand and like getting your name out there and building the following. But when it comes to like some of the marketing and the sales, that's the bit you shy away from. But it's like all the pieces are there and you should be crushing it even more than you already are, in my opinion.
Yeah. And like, I know, do you know what would really have helped is back in school would be, you really need to know about marketing and sales.
Yes.
Because it's been...
Why did they not teach you that? It's
and
bizarre.
like, and how important, like, I know that if you're employed, like, this thing, like the marketing and sales doesn't really come into it as much. But like, if you are, I know, and they're trying to help people have their own businesses, in especially in the UK, small businesses trying to prop them up, the banks are giving, good loans and stuff like that. Yeah. And, but especially in like being a creative freelancer, there's so much of it is actually the marketing. You could be the best in the world, but if no one knows about you,
100%.
Yep.
I've gone to so many conferences where you see so many people that are the celebrities, the big people you constantly name drop when you think of people that are great. And then you find out that like they're going month to month because it's like there's no amount of talent that will do it. You either have to be a great marketer or you have to rely on luck that somehow everything will drop into your lap.
And just how like, I remember because I actually doing Mark's podcast, I mentioned that I was just relying on word of mouth for all my design stuff. So it would be like, someone saw a website that I designed, they go, oh, he did that, or Ian did that. And so I'd get some jobs that way. But you can't rely on just that one avenue. You have to spread it out in terms of...
Okay, so let's get it to that next level and then let's document it on this show to try and help people. If you're down for that.
Okay. Because like, I want to get into it. I need to do it. I just about do email marketing.
Yeah.
Just.
I mean, and I totally agree with you for the record, Ian, because look at how many millions of people, forget even creatives, how many millions of people work in some form of marketing or sales. And yet that's neglected at school level in favor of something like trigonometry. And it's like, that's great if you want to go and be an engineer, but there's a lot more people in marketing and sales than there are engineers, I would wager.
I am surprised in school that they don't have children solve problems. Say, here, solve a real problem and then present the solution to people as something that you just regularly learn. It's shocking to me that has not occurred to people, that should be part of the curriculum.
I think because it's harder to grade, it's not as prescriptive. A teacher can't sit there and check a box and go, that's the correct answer. And also, if you apply that to stuff like social media or the internet, it moves so quickly that any curriculum becomes outdated very, very fast. So whereas like the rules of math can sit there for 100 years and not come into dispute, really.
Something that I hear from creatives, like when Lauren, and also like with Dustin and stuff, is that they have a background. They go, oh yeah, I had a background in sales marketing. And you're like, a little thing they dropped in there But the most successful creatives are the one that has that background, and then they found, illustration, or they found lettering, or they found whatever design that might be. Whereas me, who just found design, really struggles with that element because I just don't know it. We did business studies. I remember doing business studies in my media communications course, which was like a range of everything. But I can't remember. I did it, but I can't remember any of it. Because there's such a long, massive time between, doing that course before I even started work when I was like 17, 18, and going fully freelance when I needed it, which was 2012. And so that's like a massive jump of 14 years.
Yeah.
So if you're not using it today.
But Ian, you should definitely, I'm sure you will take up Tom's offer, because I'm just thinking of myself. I'm in the same boat that you were in. I never had that kind of background, but I took I may have mentioned before, Marie Forleo's course. I don't know if I can mention.
Yeah, of course.
Okay. Yeah. So I took Marie Forleo's course when I first started doing this, and I literally refer back and use her strategies all the time, although I'm not really good at it and I don't spend enough time on it. But it kind of like gives you the pillars to understand the direction you should be going for marketing, but then do it in a way that suits you, because not all of us are kind of gurus that way. So if Tom is willing to give you some of those, I would definitely take that up.
Yeah, and then if we can dedicate a whole episode to sharing
the results
what happens
or how you feel.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
I feel like marketing is like, for me, because I drink a lot of coffee, I just thought of coffee. It's a lot like coffee. Like people find it really intimidating, but just like coffee, like you can go down and get some instant grounds and mix it into some hot water and have coffee, or you can step it up and get one of those drip makers and put the coffee in and it drips out and there's your coffee. Or you can completely nerd out and buy yourself like temperature gauges and like weigh things by grams as you do it. But the fundamentals of marketing are like literally like making a Pop-Tart. I mean, it's not hard at all. And I think it gets this reputation of being very complicated.
Although Dustin appeared on the Future podcast recently, which was awesome. Congratulations, Dustin. And as I was rewatching it, I saw the live thread of comments, and you alluded to something similar, being like, it's really not that hard. And someone said this like in a real like nice way. But they basically said like, oh, sure, like it's not that hard from the genius guy speaking about marketing right now. And
some guy in the comments was like, says the guy that it was actually flattering, but he was like, says the guy who got like a small little business and then weaved it into like a like stairway to like massive wealth, which is not true. But that's the myth, though. It really is the myth. Yeah. I mean, wouldn't you say, Lisa, like you can get 70% there with some pretty basic fun stuff.
Definitely. And as I said, it doesn't have to be, Dustin is a whole nother level. He's like a pro. So I don't know if you and Ian, I don't know if we're ever going to reach that level, but, we could definitely get like the nuggets, and you can use it to, take it as far as you want to take it. Because,
I like Dustin's point, which was on that podcast, that that find the piece that you like about marketing and go, focus on that. Because I think you hear marketing and you think, oh, it's just boring, and Ian,
I know you struggle with this, but the irony is, I really think you'd be so good at storytelling as part of your marketing. I know you struggle with the writing, but I have the sense that you'd really be good at, giving people, because you do so many different stuff. You do interesting things. You go to conferences and then you go to Adobe, and people want to know about that. And I think you'd be really good at it. You just have to get over that hurdle that you have this thing that you're not good at writing. Because
they say the best marketers, you can't tell they're marketing, and I feel like Ian, you're actually a master marketer. Everything you do is marketing, but you're just like a man with a fire hose where it's spraying everywhere and like you can't control it because like you need a couple other guys behind the hose to keep it pointed in one direction.
Yeah. I know what you mean. And the thing is, it's not. I've come to know, because I've had to do. I've like spoke at Apple and started to write for that. I struggle with it because it just takes me a long time, and I know if I work at it, I'll get better at it, and I can actually craft a good like talk, but it takes me a long time, and I have to go over it and over and over again, because I have to script now all my YouTube videos, otherwise I have lots of ums and ahs, and I go off and ramble, and it doesn't really make sense, and so I have to script them all. But sometimes they are quite boring. They're just like, I'm going to do this.
Ian, I don't know. I think you're being bashful. I think, I think you're super talented at this. I'm going to move things along as we always go super long. And also, let us know on social media. I know we have a tendency to go a little bit down the marketing route sometimes. I do think it's a super important missing piece for so many creatives. So that's kind of why we do it. But Ian, you've got a few questions. Have we got one that's like super designy?
Super designy. Let's have a look. Okay, here you go. This is from Kaylee or Callie Reed 23 on Instagram. How did you know you were in the right niche within the design industry?
Well, I guess I picked up a marketing book and... No, how did you know you're in the right niche? Okay, so I guess in your case, Ian, like
with Lisa and her illustration, and specifically in her sort of whimsical characters.
And you with lettering.
Well, yeah.
Sorry, take it away, Lisa.
No, well, I was just gonna say, I think it's a kind of like a little bit of a formula. It obviously has to have commercial value. But at the same time, it's got to really light you up. Plus, you having a good injection of your personality. There's something that's inside you, and if that in that result ends up being something that you're proud of and you want to put out there, I think then you pretty much know you in the right niche. I mean, obviously that's going to evolve over time as any artist's style may evolve or subject matter or whatever. But the point is that if you can find a combination of those elements, and obviously know, as I said, the commercial value is quite important. We always want to shy away from that as artists, and we just want to create for the love of creating. But at the end of the day, people are slapped to buy art, so it has to have some kind of commercial value.
Although, sorry, super quickly.
Yeah.
I think in this day and age, people can get away with making money with all kinds of really weird shit. I don't know if you've seen the viral guy. He's like a physical artist, and he'll be in a room and film it, and there will be balloons set up, and he'll like sellotape knives to his like hands and feet and head, and then start popping all the balloons by like headbutting them or kicking them. It come up with like real complex contraptions where it'll be a table that like folds in on itself with knives on it to pop balloons in the middle, and it's the most ridiculous thing. He'll like cover himself in tin foil and just really weird stuff. He's got like 300,000 Instagram followers, and people are like paying him and sponsoring him for his art. Wow. So I think if there's ever been a year for like be your weird self, and there's there's a possible angle there to make money, it's 2019.
Yeah. Oh yes, absolutely. But for those of us who don't want to run around with knives attached to us, I think it's just important to bear that in mind, and if you want to go ahead and do the weird stuff that you really still in love with, there's nothing wrong with that, but it's not necessarily going to make you money. So if you really want to do a career out of your creativity, you got to obviously realize that it's got to have some commercial value. And then, as I said, be yourself, inject work in and be passionate about it. If this isn't tickling your fancy, you're in the wrong place, because you got to wake up every day feeling excited and amped to go and sit down and do that thing that is, firing up. And I think, I think those are like the three main things that I would say, you found your spot.
Yeah, and the thing you have to don't worry about pivoting from, you might start on lettering and actually pivot to more illustration or retro stuff. I think the problem is that things like I think timing is actually something that's out of our control, but is also something that's quite important. That I just started for the love of a hobby, but I was in a position where it wasn't as popular as it is now. Just like, I suppose, if you bought a house 10 years ago, it would cost a lot less than it does now to buy, and you probably make more money on that house buying it back then than you do now. And it's that whole thing as there's supply and demand. There are a lot more letterers there are today than there were when I started 6 years ago. And so trying to sell that is going to be harder. It's possible, but it's going to be harder. So, there's picking a niche that you're passionate about, but knowing that I expect it's hard. It could be financially beneficial. It might not. And it's hard to say, but, be prepared to sort of try it and see if it works for you.
But I also have to say, I agree with that. You don't want to be putting yourself into a box that you are not loving, or it's come to the end of the road. Definitely experiment. But at the same time, you also have to challenge yourself. Like you mentioned that, obviously the lettering industry has become more popular, so it becomes harder to be noticed. But then that's when you should amp up your personality into your work, because
definitely.
It's people are buying from the person, and they've seen how many times can you see the same letter that everybody draws. So when you start doing your own style in that niche, that's when people start looking at you. Because
look at James Lewis that we had on. You remember him,
yes,
Lisa?
Exactly.
Where he has that really specific 3D style in his lettering.
Yes. Exactly. And he, as he said, he can't imagine himself doing that forever. He might find something else to move on to, but he's already created this thing where, people are following him because he found like a pocket within this kind of niche environment, and he really ran with it, and he kind of did everything that he wanted to try out on it. And eventually maybe he'll get bored of that and move on to something else. We all do that, but I think it's important to remember that no matter what industry in, the crowds are going to grow, and the only way you're going to stand out is to really be yourself.
Yeah.
There's a great story I heard you guys know the book The Alchemist?
Yeah,
Yes.
I read it actually.
One of my favorites.
Yeah, it's such a great book. I'd assume a good portion of the people listening are familiar with it too. But there's a story I feel like that really relates to this. So if you think about what you love, not what you think people love, not what you think other people will love that you do, think about what you really love. Because it was funny that when things started to work out for me, it's when I really started doing the things that I was interested in doing, I started to do well. But anyways, it's a balance, I think, between what you love and, like you said, marketing and finding your niche. And in The Alchemist, it tells a story where a man goes to the king and says, like, what's the secret to, I think, success or something like that. And the king says, I'm busy. I'll tell you in a second, but first do this. And he says, here's a spoon. And he puts a couple drops of oil in it. And he says, I want you to walk through my entire palace. And I want you to look at the, beautiful, paintings and the draperies and the, who knows what else, right? And then come back and see me. So the guy walks through the palace. He looks at all the stuff. And when he gets back, he says, did you see my paintings? Did you see the draperies? Did you see the food settings and all this different stuff? And he says, yeah, it was amazing. And he says, do you have the drop of oil? And the guy had spilled the oil out of the spoon as he'd been walking around because he'd been paying too much attention. So he said, okay, go back and do it again. This time, don't spill the oil. So the guy goes and walks around, right? And when he gets back, he says, did you see all the paintings and the draperies, blah, blah, blah. And the guy says, no, but the oil's still in the spoon. And the king says, when you can keep the oil in the spoon and still appreciate all the things around you, that's when you're doing it right. And I kind of feel like that goes with the marketing and the creating your work, because you have to keep an eye carefully on, is this interesting? Is it worth buying to people? And at the same time, and that's the oil in the spoon almost, and at the same time, you've got to do what's really you, or else you won't be able to do it.
Yeah.
Is that too diluted, or does that make sense?
No,
it makes perfect sense.
I completely get it. Yeah. You need both. From my perspective, I think in terms of niching and finding your style and that kind of thing, it's really healthy to try a lot of things. On my show recently, I did a look back and I almost like reverse engineered. So it was like, here's what I'm doing now. And I tried to find the inception points, which was a really fun exercise. So it was like, design cards wouldn't exist and have impacted millions of creatives if I didn't open up Paint Shop Pro when I was 12 years old. And then there were like a billion steps between it. But the point is, I tried web design for like 13 years or something, photo manipulation for 8 years, like branding, like all these different things. I like gave a real good go, and now I don't do them anymore. And that's fine. They weren't a waste because they all led me to where I'm at now. And the next chapter could be who knows what. And so I think absolutely explore. Don't like put yourself in a box and just never deviate and feel like you're fixed for life. But the flip side of that is some of my followers come to me and they're like, hey, I started doing this new style of art. And I'm like, that's amazing. It seems like you're finding a style finally. This is great. And then they're like, okay, but I'm going to stop doing that and pivot to something completely different. And that's after about 4 days. And it won't matter if they've had 4, like I'm thinking of Tanya, if you're listening to the show in particular. She started doing this really amazing illustrative style and everyone's starting to respond and be like, yeah, that's the one. Like that looks really great. And she instantly started jumping into the next thing. And we were like, no, keep going with that for a while because you need to build up that consistency. So for me, the answer is both. Don't be blinkered, try a bunch of stuff, but equally don't be like the puppy distracted by a squirrel where your head's darting to something new like every few days or every few weeks, because then you will never go deep enough to really, prosper from it.
Definitely. Well said.
So, Ian, have you got any more creative questions? In fact, I've got one here actually from Ravin Renee, again on Instagram, asking, how do we find creative ideas on the daily when we sometimes draw a blank and just want more sleep? It's a good question.
I'll read this one, which is a similar. It might,
Okay, we're combined. When two become one, Ian.
The two become one. Like the Spice Girls. So, favorite routine to start engage creativity when it's lacking. So,
yeah, who's that from?
That is from Laura Hines Designs.
Laura Hines, Ravin Renee. Let's try and give these guys a good answer then. So, yeah, if we need an inspiration, if we're drawing a blank, bit of creative block. She mentioned needing more sleep. I mean, first of all, get some sleep. If you need sleep, get some sleep. That would be number one. But
it's not always easy. It's not always easy. My kids wake up in the night all the time.
Good point.
And I've been trying to get to sleep earlier as well. And I'm still knackered.
Well,
all right, what have we got, guys? Because we've all been through this, right?
Yes. I would say if you have like quite a hectic deadline and you don't have time to literally take a 30-minute nap, then I would at least like going, I don't know, do something that really will calm you. Like maybe it's making a cup of coffee and walking around, I don't know, wherever you work, that's calming or whatever. Something that's different from your desk to at least get your mind centered, and then go to those resources that you know that you feel excited about. So when I was graphic designing, I had a whole bunch of graphic design books, and there would be 2 that I loved the most, and even though I've looked at them like probably 100 million times, I still hold it out and I still flip through it because I'd get this like excited feeling, about how beautiful the designs were, and I'd get all like into it and be like, wow, this is my job, I do this for a living, and I just love this so much. And that would actually be enough to get me going again. And yeah, as an illustrator, I kind of do the same thing. I got a couple of books that I go to. I do a little bit of Pinterest, but not much because that can be dangerous, like say 10 minutes.
I mean, do you often get it, Lisa, like where you draw a complete blank? And be honest, if you don't, that's cool too.
Not actually. I don't actually draw like a total blank.
Yeah. Like, okay. This leads me on slightly, and then I definitely want to come back to that. But yeah, my honest answer would be going back to like what you're most passionate about. The more passionate I am about something, the less I draw a blank, and it's as simple as that. And like I just said, I've done all kinds of stuff over the years. Some of it I had to force more because I was only 65% into it. And as I gravitate more and more and more to what I'm unbelievably passionate about, I feel like I could talk nonstop for 50 years about some of this stuff, and it just pours out of me, and I never run out of ideas. And that's not to rub it in. I've been there. I've had creative block. I felt stuck. I've drawn a blank.
Yes.
But my answer would be, it's not necessarily just go for a walk in nature or like go watch a movie or something. It's actually maybe try and use self-awareness to get closer to your true passions.
Yeah.
Yes, that would be I would say definitely that's like a long term. If this is happening often, you got to really look back and go, hang on a minute, why am I getting these kind of blanks all the time? If it's a lack of sleep, then get more sleep. But if it is happening more often, then I agree, Tom. It's time to assess things.
I think and maybe you guys have experienced this too. I think after, well, two things happened. When I first started my business, and this is really the same because you're designing stuff to sell. It's still designing. When I was first starting it, I was just desperate to make money. I didn't care. I didn't care what people thought. I didn't care if they thought I was stupid. I didn't care if they thought that what I made was crap. I didn't even spend very much time thinking. And because of that, things just came out. Like it was just like there was no
judgment.
What is it? Yeah, there was no consequences. I was just like, it doesn't matter. Things have to get out. And so I'd made things. I didn't spend a lot of time judging it. I was like, if this is crap, next week we'll try again and maybe it won't be crap. And so that's what happened. And then the business got more successful. And I thought, I still kind of feel the same way. Like we made a pack like last year. It was called Photocopy Hate Machine, which kind of reminded me of the Nine Inch Nails album, Some Pretty Hate Machine. And it was such a weird title, and it had a cupcake on the cover. And I was like, man, this is going to ruin sales. It's so freaking weird. I mean, it's cool. Turned out it's been used by Nike. I just saw it the other day, like in like for a new Nike line of shoes. The point is that like we just put like, I think you only stop having ideas when you start to put so much weight on that idea. Just think to yourself, like the point is just to put something out. It's not for it to be a good idea. It's for it to be an idea.
Yeah.
Take a picture of yourself going after you've gone pee in the toilet and like put it up. Whatever.
Yeah, but not if you go number 2 because that's messed up.
We're so guilty as artists, just overthinking everything. Like, oh my goodness, that shade of green just doesn't go with that. Just do it. Just put it out there. Go for a walk, come back, and you probably love it. So move on.
And that kind of goes back to that never overestimate the unimportance of practically everything.
Yes. Yeah.
You put something up and it's bad, people will just forget about it. Go look at my Instagram account. I have like 2,600 followers. I mean, it sounds funny when I look at Ian over here while I'm saying that, but I have 2,600 followers. Like there's so many rubbish posts I put up. Who cares? Just keep putting them up.
I love that you started saying rubbish now, mate. It's such a good expression.
I told my wife, I was like, it's like such a good word. I was like, they really nailed it with that word. It doesn't sound nearly as bad as trash or garbage. I was like, why don't we use such a nice word
rubbish.
Like they do?
It's positively Shakespearean.
Rubbish.
I'm telling you.
Almost sounds like you could eat it.
You wouldn't want to eat rubbish.
You wouldn't want to eat garbage.
I've been recently. I've just been really like. If you look at my posts, I haven't been posting as regularly. I've just been hitting me like a brick wall. And it's, I thought, I'll come back from Christmas and I'll be like, all these ideas pop in. And I'm like, and I was like, I got my new studio. There'd be like plenty of ideas. And I just sometimes sit here and I'm just like, I literally, there's nothing going on upstairs. And it's just like, come on, brain. And I think, you just sometimes have to because I have the regular things where I go and maybe go for a walk or listen to some music and go to some of the shops I normally go to, look at Pinterest, look at other Instagram stuff. And actually the ones that I thought would help me don't help me all the time. And you have to really break from the norm and just sort of think, okay, I'm going to do something different. I'm going to use a tool I've never used before. I'm going to do a style I've never done before and just pick it. And I suppose, there's a quote about something about the pleasure of being anonymous, where you can just try stuff.
There's
and
no
one really
worries
and you're not really.
No one gives a damn.
Yeah. And that was what you know, that not that this is a pressure. I think the pressure, like, you know, when you start to get a following, you then put your own pressure on you because you're like, oh, I got to be
perfect 24/7.
Not really perfect, but just like, you know, what you did before that worked, and then you post something it didn't work, and you try not to succumb to the sort of likes and the engagement sort of thing, because mine can fluctuate between like something doing like 11,000 likes to a couple of thousand, you know, and there's like, a massive.
Does that matter?
No. But
like, if you forgot all of that, like if
I know,
you never looked at it again, does it matter?
Yeah, but and you tell yourself that, but your brain can't help it. Your brain can't help it. You want to be liked. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, we like you.
No. But it's just your natural. Like,
I know.
You know where like my children come in, and like they've done a picture at school and they show you. You know, they want you to like it, don't they? Yeah. And I don't think you ever get.
Tired
you ever get out of that thing. You try, you know, you try not to focus on the numbers, but it's hard to not to.
Is that part of being a creative? Because I'm there being like, don't care, mate. It's fine. I'm the same. We're all the same. Like I had it at school, like even worse than I do now. Really I was like in art class at school, and I was practically just like, you know, creeping up to my teacher and being like, please like it, sir. Like, all my emotions rest on your feedback. Like I was so desperate, like, and I should have been there being like, I'm going to push outside my comfort zone. Like I'm going to be about the process. I'm going to mix it up. I'm going to try some new styles. I'm going to make it about the art. All it was like this cycle of validation, and it's such crap. Like, and it does. You're right, Ian. It carries through to adulthood and our careers, and it's honestly, annoying. It creates.
You try not to focus on it. Do you know what? It's hard, isn't it? What happens? What would you have in a social platform that had no likes on it? You know, had no way of gauging. I
think it'd be a way better place.
You know,
sometimes I discover things on Instagram, and I mean, they are brilliant. I mean, utterly brilliant art, and nobody is paying attention. They're following way more people than are following them. They have a couple hundred followers. And I don't know if it's that they don't care to market it, they don't care to do whatever, but I'm constantly like, part of me is like, nice. Yeah, there you go.
Dustin, do you ever talk to these people and they're so chill? And I think you and I are quite similar. You know, we're quite entrepreneurial. And so for me, I'm always like, how do we get to that next place? Like, go. And you meet these people and invariably I'll have these conversations with people because I'm passionate about it sometimes. And occasionally I have that conversation with someone and they're like, no, I'm good. And you're like, but if you just grew it a bit, like it would be amazing. And they're like, no, I'm fine.
No, it's okay.
And for me, that's baffling. Like I can't get my head around it. But how cool must that be? I bet they're not feeling very blocked. They're like, no, I'm good. I'm just doing my thing.
Yeah.
I mean, there's anyways, a bunch of philosophers have said this. I think Seneca said it. All sorts of people say it, like that. The more you can just focus on the things that you can control, which is really only your feelings and perceptions, the happier you'll be because you can control it. You can't control what other people think, right? How great must it be to sit and make art and put it out with no expectation of anything other than the whole reward was simply doing it.
Just doing it, yeah.
Have you, dang it, have you guys seen this? I know we're only doing an episode on this, but there's this book I got. It's called An Audience of One.
Oh, no, Dustin, you're stealing my question. We got someone else asking about favorite books.
Oh.
Do you want to... Go.
That leads in nicely.
Yeah, this can lead in. Go on.
Okay. Well, this will be a lead in. So this book is called An Audience of One. Never heard of this person before. Their name is like Srinivas Rao. I don't even know how to say it. I'm not sure what that name is, but it's called Reclaiming Creativity for Its Own Sake. The whole book is purely like about learning to love the work for the work. One of the key things like that it reminded me of, and I wrote a post on my Instagram about this, was just, like I remember being a kid and I remember making maps of my neighborhood. Like I would draw pictures of like all like how it was laid out and like the different landmarks. And then I would like make it look old and crumple it up and rub it in the dirt. And it was just this functional little piece of art for me that I used as a treasure map, you know? Yeah. Or I remember when I had to clean my room, I didn't like cleaning my room. So like I like made myself like Dr. Clean got something or something. And I made like a little box to check in with a little card with an ID. And
love that.
It was this elaborate little piece of art. And I would like put my little card in it and I'd go clean my room. And that was it. I mean, I was a kid and I didn't care what anyone thought of it. No one saw it. I probably didn't even want people to saw it. When I was a teenager, like I melted candles and newspapers and music playing and weird stuff attached to these pieces of cardboard and these gigantic bizarre murals, and I hid them in my closet like a weird altar. I mean, it felt so fulfilling though, and I think this whole book is about the idea of like doing that, like you're cutting yourself off from the energy source of like creativity when you completely are just trained not to pay attention to that.
Here's a question. Did any of you guys encounter drawing a creative blank when you were a kid?
Never.
Because it's so like when you said that, Dustin, I'm thinking back and I'm like, I don't remember that happening when I was younger. Like when I was really young, same as you, I was building rocket ships out of Lego. At no point did I stop and think, what is someone going to think of this rocket ship? Is it going to be okay? I've got, you never saw a 5-year-old, I've got a creative block, you got to help me.
Yeah. When it all served a function in your imagination. So of course you didn't run out of ideas because it was serving a purpose to your imagination.
Yeah.
So, you didn't just sit down and say, it is now time to make myself draw superheroes because I must do this for 3 hours every day if I want to make good superheroes. Mm-hmm. You were like, hey, I want to make, I don't know, laser pop can man. I don't know. Like, and then you would just make it. It didn't.
It's like the best band name ever.
Yeah.
Front row, dude. Laser Pumpkin Man.
And I know we got to all earn like our cheddar. So like we all have to like work whether or not we want to because we live in capitalist societies, blah, blah. But like there's something to be said about finding the balance.
You know what I think we should all, sorry, Lisa. I think we should all go finger paint.
Yeah.
What were you going to say?
I was actually going to say something along those lines because I actually found myself, I mean, I know Ian said he was reaching a point where he found like he was drawing blanks every time. Near the end of the year, I found myself not knowing what to do. It was more a case of I was fatigued. Like I wasn't finding the same joy that I had when I was sitting down and drawing. It felt more of a chore. And obviously those days come and go, but it became like those days were too many. So that's when I knew I had to actually not draw and not do jobby-fied things. Sorry, but you know what I'm trying to say. For a while because I need to feel amped to do it again. And it literally is what you just said, Tom. You need to either finger paint or maybe that's what all I did was swim every day and go for a run and have lots of braais and go sailing with Cliff. And so you do stuff that at least gets you back to like out of your routine, like your creative routine. And I think that's quite important. I think we forget to do that as creatives.
Pay attention to what you do. If you're like, I'm going to get away from it all and just go do something mindless as an outlet. If you set up a giant canvas in your room and start throwing gravy at it for fun, maybe there's something there. Yeah. Maybe you like kind of abstract art and you're going to be like the Jackson Pollock of the gravy world. I don't know.
Yes. Yeah. And you know what? Sorry, just quickly. And you know what else? It doesn't mean you have to stay away from creativity entirely to like refresh. Because the other thing I also rekindled was my love for walking through art galleries. I mean, I haven't done that in I don't know, maybe 2 years, and I was like, oh my word, this is so cool. And like you forget to enjoy. I don't know. I found that I was forgetting to enjoy the other creative stuff around me.
Yeah.
So
hey, speaking of that, can I share one more book? While it's kind of I just shared a book. Because this has to do with art galleries, or art fine artists. This was in the kids section. I saw this for my daughter, but I bought it for myself.
Is that Ian's
I'll do it with my daughter too.
No,
it looks close.
No, I think this is hand done. Yeah, it's called Draw, Paint, Print Like the Great Artists. This book has been so fun for me. Like, it has different artists, and then it will show you like try doing this.
Oh, that's awesome.
Try doing this. There's one where it shows you how to make, it's like Andy Warhol used to get 2 pieces of paper. He'd get a tracing paper, then an absorbent paper, tape them together, trace on one and paint on it, and then he'd flip it and smash it into the other paper. And then he'd make art out of it. Like, this was legitimate art he sold. It was like the most rudimentary printing technique ever. And anyways, another great book. It's for kids, and I love it for myself.
That's
okay,
awesome.
Dustin, if you literally had a weekly or even monthly newsletter that reviewed one book, I'd be up. I'm signing up.
Yeah, very good point.
Seriously,
Dustin, you should do this. Honest Designers listeners, go and petition Dustin, bug him on social media. And he doesn't like to hear from people on social media, so he won't like that. So go and like get up in his face and just like DM him like, I want to see a book club. I would pay attention to that as well. And then
Seriously.
Dustin, I know where your mind's going to go. Like on Entrepreneur Land, get some affiliate links in there for Amazon, and boom, you're off for the races.
I'm serious.
I would do it purely for joy. I always don't though, because I'm like, I would do like, I just can't imagine people paying attention for more than like a week.
Okay, well, you got 2 subscribers, maybe 3.
Yeah,
but Ian doesn't look very impressed.
Yeah, I
always love your number 3.
I've bought so many books on your like recommendations.
Exactly. You should totally do it, man. There you go.
Okay.
I mean, I presume we're going to call this the honest. Let's call this the Honest Designers Book Club. You do all the work, and then we split the profit 4 ways. Great, done. Okay, it's a deal.
Sounds good.
Cool. Well, I think that is it from us today. We got some more questions, but I think we're going to have to tackle those in an upcoming episode. But thank you so much. Who have we had it from? We've had Ravin Renee. We have had Little Gem Studio. Ian, on your side, who we had? We've had people who he needs to refer to the list, but we appreciate your questions too, guys, even though we can't bring up your name right now.
Kaylee Reed and Laura Hines Designs.
Cool. Thank you, guys. As always, appreciate the questions. Everyone else who sent in fantastic questions, we will try and get to them in an episode very soon. Appreciate you tuning in. It is great to be back. New year, new us.
Yay.
Woohoo.
Cool. We'll catch you guys soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Cheerio.
Thanks so much for listening to this week's episode. As always, you can find full show notes over at honestdesigners.com or find us over on iTunes and now Spotify by searching for The Honest Designers Show. And remember, we're now on social media too, if you search for Honest Designers. If today's episode helped you, then it would mean the world to us if you took just a moment to leave us a quick review over on iTunes, as this is one of the best ways for other designers to discover the show. Thanks again for tuning in, and we will see you next week right here on The Honest Designers Show.